Good evening. Home Office plans to reduce the number of asylum seekers housed at the former RAF Scampton have been criticised by campaigners. The government has told local MP Sir Edward Leigh it's reducing the number of migrants from 2,000 to 800. It's thought it could pave the way for a £300 million regeneration plan to start. But with so much work already done to prepare the site, there are questions about whether it will ever save the money the government had hoped. Jo Makel has this report.
It's all about the numbers. The Home Office think a cap on migrants at the base will help it deliver its Scampton asylum plan. But those protesting say reducing from 2,000 to 800 doesn't go far enough.
I won't be happy until they say that there's going to be no asylum seekers there. The campaign was started to, try and save Scampton for the Heritage Centre, but we also have concerns about our safety and we don't trust them to actually look after us.
With so much work being done to prepare for 2,000, the financial numbers are also important.
It's the amount of money that they've just spent and wasted on, I just don't get it. Well, they don't care because it's not their money, so it's everyone else's money, isn't it? It's your money, it's your money. And that's why we're still here, and we're still going to be here till the end.
Using sites like Scampton for asylum accommodation was driven by the concerns over hotels and the growing cost, millions of pounds every day. But at a court case last year, we heard that using Scampton would only save about £10 per person per night. So if those figures still stand and we have 800 people here, we're saving £8,000 a day compared to a current daily hotel bill of £8 million.
Some suspect there won't be any savings at all. The National Audit Office is due to report tomorrow on the costs of using Scampton and other sites. But what the reduction in asylum seeker numbers might do is pave the way for a compromise, allowing the regeneration plan for Scampton to start.
Well, I definitely think it's a move in the right direction. We, as Scampton Holdings, have had no engagement directly with the Home Office, but obviously West Lindsey have, as indeed has Sir Edward Leigh. So I see this as encouraging. It's taken a long time for them to face up to reality, but let's hope it's a start.
Discussions on the compromise are ongoing, but the leader of the local council claims he and other elected members have been left out of the talks.
As political leaders, we've been asking for a roundtable discussion around the RAF Scampton now for over 12 months, and this government continuously denies us that opportunity. They refuse to meet with us, sit down round the table. We could have got this sorted a long time ago.
The Home Office still faces legal challenges and protests continue. And unless the number of asylum seekers drops to zero, people here say they're not going to go away. Jo Makel, BBC Look North, Scampton.
Well, joining me now is the local MP, Sir Edward Leigh. Sir Edward, good evening to you. Now, this report out tomorrow that Jo just mentioned in the cost of housing asylum seekers in places like Scampton, will they find that the cost is just too high or much better value than hotels?
Well, the report is embargoed till midnight, so I'm prevented from saying too much. But I think, Peter, it will confirm everything I've been saying for the last 12 months, that not only is Scampton going to save very little money, I believe that this report will say that actually putting migrants in large bases will actually cost the taxpayer more. I think this report, you will find, will shoot the government's case to pieces.
So are you delighted that this figure is now 800?
Well, I'm not delighted. I mean, frankly, I'm with the campaigners and with the wonderful Sarah that I don't want any migrants there at all. But I'd obviously rather it was 800, a number that we could possibly cope with, rather than 2,000. But the key is not whether I want 800 or 2,000. The key is that, as you said in your report, this might unlock the regeneration. And all along, I've argued that the main argument against housing this very large number of migrants at Scampton was it would put at risk £300 million of regeneration. So that's what I'm going.
Okay.
I've got a question to the Prime Minister tomorrow, and I'm going to ask her this precise point. We want to get this regeneration now, Peter.
So you're going to ask this in PMQs tomorrow, are you?
Yeah, I've got question number 4, and I'm going to give it to him straight. This has gone on too long, too expensive court cases. This is the most iconic RAF base in the country. Actually, I'm working very hard with all the local stakeholders to try and get the regeneration started now.
But he told me he didn't. When I was speaking to him, he didn't. He doesn't really want to do it, but he's got no option. Do you not accept that?
Well, I think when we actually are allowed to publicise this NAO report, we'll see that, first of all, obviously it's no deterrence to migrants. If you're coming from a country like Syria or Iraq, you don't care whether you're in a hotel or an ex-base. So it's no deterrence. It's now not saving any money. It's now costing more money. Above all, it's delaying the regeneration. Obviously, neither me nor the council can probably stop the Home Office insisting on putting migrants there if they win their court case. Yeah. But what I want to do, I saw the Minister, by the way, for Immigration yesterday. I'm having virtual daily meetings. I'm meeting the Home Secretary at 10:30 tomorrow morning. He's asked to see me. I don't know why. Maybe it's the result of this report. But what I'm saying all along is that you've got to kickstart this base now. I know you don't want to say anything, but this report is obviously going to be very embarrassing for the government, and the figures are going to be awkward. I think it's going to justify what we've been saying, and I've been saying all along, that they haven't done their sums properly. They've just been determined to push ahead without actually working out the huge costs. They said originally that it was going to cost $5 million or perhaps something to set Scampton up. Yeah. We'll now find this report that it's costing way, way more than that. Well, good luck with your question tomorrow. Be nice and forceful, Sir Edward, as I'm sure you will be. Let me just ask you one last question, very, very brief answer. What do you say to the Save Our Scampton campaign now? Do they need to give up and go home? It's all over, it's done. You've done a tremendous job. You've spoken for all of us. Don't give up now. We are almost on the cusp of victory. So let's keep fighting. Never give up. OK, Sir Edward, good to have you on the programme tonight. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Right, well, you've heard the story, that question coming up to the Prime Minister tomorrow in PMQs. What do you think about this tonight? Do you welcome the government's compromise to limit the numbers to 800, or is 800 still too many? Here's how to get in touch. The email address is there, looknorth@bbc.co.uk. Follow me on Twitter, tweet me now, or text 81333. 81333, start the text with the word Look North. We'll have some at the end of the programme and, of course, tomorrow night as well. Gather. Now, let's have a reminder of our main story tonight. Campaigners say reducing the number of asylum seekers expected at RAF Scampton isn't enough. Tomorrow's weather, cloudy and wet during the morning, and then some heavy rain, becoming lighter and more intermittent as the day goes on. Top temperatures 15 Celsius, 15 is 59 Fahrenheit. The subject of Scampton, Terry, says just reducing the number of immigrants is just an excuse for the door to stay open. It will not stay reduced. Paul's in Lincoln. Why should we house any of the asylum seekers? We can't even house or support our own people. Such a difficult world we live in. It's not right. David says migrants or asylum seekers are not objects. They are less fortunate human beings who are being treated inhumanely. And Tony says that reducing to 800 is just a game to reduce the number of objections. Keep your comments coming in. We'll have some more tomorrow night on that. Thank you for watching. Have a nice evening. Take care. Now, Rishi Sunak has responded to a report that says keeping asylum seekers in camps like RAF Scampton will now be more expensive than using hotels. The National Audit Office said it found that accommodation, including Scampton and the Bibby barge, was costing £1.2 billion, 46 million more than hotels. And that was challenged by the Lincolnshire MP, Sir Edward Leigh, at Prime Minister's questions.
Rapidly. Noting the NAO report today on the spiralling costs of using ex-military bases for migrants, and noting that the Home Office has announced this week that they are to reduce the projected numbers at RAF Scampton down to 800, will the Prime Minister ensure that his Minister for Immigration meets West Lindsey District Council and myself urgently so that we can release most of the base for regeneration of this iconic RAF base, the home of the Red Arrows and the Dam Busters?
Yeah. And here's what the Prime Minister said in response to Sir Edward.
Well, can I pay tribute to the way that my right honourable friend has engaged with the government on this important issue for his local community. As acknowledged, our plan is working to cut the use of asylum hotels, and we will have closed 100 hotels next week, on top of cutting small boat arrivals. But I know he's talking to the Minister for Legal Migration about how best to accommodate a smaller number of asylum seekers safely at RAF Scampton, whilst recognising the Council's ambitious plans for regeneration. And let me tell him, I fully support those discussions, and the government is committed to the site being used for accommodation for the shortest possible time and then released to the benefit of the local community.
That was lunchtime in the House of Commons, and that gets us to last night's big response from you to the migrant numbers at Scampton being cut from 2,000 to 800. We were talking about it on the programme last night, talking to Sir Edward Leigh. The plan is that people are due to move to the base from April. Thank you for all the emails, texts and tweets. Just a few then. KJ says 800 is still too many. Scampton is the wrong place. Sarah said the Scampton residents are worried about safety. Who do they think they're going to house there? Serial killers? It strikes me as racist. Catherine says the protesters have no right to decide who can or cannot use MOD land. Catherine, thank you for that. And just finally, this is from Sophie, who says the amount being saved is minimal and does not take into account the huge loss to our county. Sophie goes on to say, I love Lincolnshire. Please don't destroy it. Thank you for those. And of course, we will continue to follow the story.